After being shot with the Blutz waves and turning into a great ape, Gotenks regained his consciousness and unbelievably transformed into a Super Saiyan 4. Standing across from the fusion of Marble and Chiyoko, the spectators are in awe as one shock after another happens. Marble says that their sound and shape changed, but their power still doesn't match theirs. Gotenks admits that this transformation puts extreme limits on their fusion, so they have to finish this in a blink. Gohan and Vegeta are shook over on the planet of the Kais, wondering how these two became Super Saiyan 4 out of the blue like this when they've only trained previously for a few days. This is when we get a flashback to 2 days ago at the lookout, where Oob, Goten, and Trunks are busy training their asses off. This is the hardest I've ever seen these two fight. They're really taking this seriously, knowing that Gohan and Vegeta are doing their part, so they have to do theirs as well. This is chapter 5 of Dragon Ball AF. It's been a month since we've entered the Room of Spirit and Time, Trunks says, as they take a moment to catch their breath. We finally managed to become Super Saiyan 2. I think it's about time to go on with our secret plan. Now that you mention it, you talked about it before we came here, Goten replies. What on earth is the secret plan? Trunks takes out a capsule and shows him the Blutz wave gun. It's the same one Vegeta used, as Goten instantly starts connecting the dots, realizing what Trunks had up his sleeve all along, as he tells him, that's right, they're gonna become Super Saiyan 4s as well. They call over to Oob and ask him to help them out, saying that they're gonna use the Blutz wave to turn into a golden great ape. Trunks then says that he wants Oob to fight them while they're a great ape until they regain consciousness, and since he's give or take as strong as the two of them fused together, he should be the perfect training partner. Step 1 is for them to fuse. So Goten and Trunks then fuse back into Gotenks, and Oob readies the Blutz waves machine to turn them into a golden great ape. All of a sudden, Gotenks absorbs the Blutz waves and turns into a giant raging golden great ape, as even Oob, who has seen this numerous times already, is amazed at how powerful their ki is in this state. But if he can't handle a fight like this, there's no way he can win against a Shadow Dragon stronger than Omega Shenron, so this training means as much to him as it does to Goten and Trunks trying to become Super Saiyan 4s. As I said before, Oob is probably around as strong as Gotenks, so he holds his own against the Great Ape, and eventually we can assume that he overpowers them and brings them back to full consciousness. Unfortunately, no sign of Super Saiyan 4 yet. He asks Goten if he was still conscious when he became a Golden Great Ape, with Goten confirming, but he says that he couldn't move his body voluntarily. If we're not fully conscious, we can't become a Super Saiyan 4. All of a sudden, Trunks has a breakthrough, realizing what they may have been missing this whole time. A call. He says that during the fight with Eyes, Pan kept calling Gohan's name, and because they have mixed Earthling and Saiyan blood, the likelihood for them to regain their sense is much higher than Goku and Vegeta's, much like Gohan. That's why they'll ask Oob to call out to them. If they can grab that chance, they'll certainly become Super Saiyan 4s eventually, right? Long shot, but still worth a try. So over the next few days, Oob, Goten, and Trunks continue their training. Oob versus the Great Ape over and over again as the journey to become a Super Saiyan 4 continues, and then, after that third day, something amazing happens. After calling out to Gotenks during another grueling training session, Super Saiyan 4 Gotenks was finally born. Finally, the results of their training had paid off. They finally mastered Super Saiyan 4. In the present day, Gotenks charges at Marble to try and hurry and end this before the time limit runs out on their fusion. Right away, despite what Marble thought prior, he easily starts to overpower him with ridiculous speed and strength. Both Oob and Marble are taken aback by Super Saiyan 4 Gotenks' strength, as he just makes Marble look all around inferior, sending him flying into the sky with a punch next. Then, Gotenks starts forming a familiar hand sign, putting his fingers into the formation of a burning attack as he takes aim and then fires a ×10 burning Kamehameha at their opponent. One of the most beautiful shots of the entire manga so far, in my opinion, as, young Gigi is just showing off at this point. But this attack completely devastates Marble. Gotenks and Oob maybe begin celebrating a bit too early though. Don't worry, because if you also thought this was finally over, you aren't alone. Over on the planet of the Supreme Kai, Gohan and the others also jumped the gun a little bit, but Marble isn't dead yet. Out of the smoke from that giant explosion, although he's in terrible shape right now, Marble is still very much alive, albeit barely. Gotenks is shocked that he was able to survive their most powerful attack, and unfortunately used up the majority of their ki and reduced their fusion time drastically as well, causing them to separate before they could finish their opponent. A very similar situation as with what happened with Gogeta and Omega Shenron. Unfortunately for Goten and Trunks, Shenron isn't there to lend them their power and save them. The only silver lining, however, is that Marble is in just as bad a shape as they are. This is when Oob steps in between them, tagging in for the rest of the battle, saying that he'll be Marble's next opponent from now on. Oob says that Marble has taken far too much damage to be able to defeat him now. Oob wastes no time and begins charging his strongest attack, looking to completely wipe out Marble for good this time with a Super Kamehameha, as Trunks and the others look on desperately. Marble tries to use the rest of their strength to combat Oob's next attack with his remaining ki, as the two engage in one final clash to decide who will be the victor for the showdown. Oob's full power is still untapped, and one of the greatest mysteries still remaining in Dragon Ball, as he reaches deep down and utilizes depths of his own strength he never even thought possible at this point. He says that it's clear Marble's power has dropped drastically over the course of their battle, but he won't hesitate to do what he needs to do to protect the Earth, and with one overwhelming force of ki, he blasts Marble to nothingness, leaving nothing but a crater from his attack behind, sealing victory for the Earthlings once again, as Goten and Trunks can finally celebrate. Gohan and the others can finally celebrate as well over on the planet of the Kais, ecstatic that the boys were able to prove themselves without their help, but Vegeta isn't too impressed and wants to get back to training right away. The boys then head back to Kami's lookout to heal up and rest, but even though they've reached new heights and managed to save the Earth without Goku and the others, their greatest tests were still yet to come. Back at the lookout, after the boys are all healed and rested, it's time to get back to work, as Trunks admits to Goten that during the fight with Marble, even after all the training they did, their bodies still seem to be pretty out of shape. That's probably also the reason why we were only able to maintain our Super Saiyan 4 transformation for a short time. From here on, they agree, let's just focus on recovering our basic strength, so they get back to training as hard as they physically are able to pretty much immediately. Nearby, instead of only focusing on his body though, Oob meditates, thinking to himself that during the battle, a mysterious power came out of him, but he wonders just what the heck that was. Somehow, it felt really nostalgic to him. There must be some unknown power I've yet to realize, he says. Only I could draw out that power by training more and more. Over on the planet of the Kais, Gohan and Vegeta have finally completed the process of having their tails dragged out of their bodies by force. It took quite a while, but it's finally done. But that's only the first step of their training. Now, they have to actually begin that training, so Elder Kai tells them that the next step is for them to be able to voluntarily transform into Super Saiyan 4. This is the part of the training where Vegeta is actually pretty far ahead of Gohan, who has only had a single instance of transforming into a Super Saiyan 4 and a Super Saiyan 5. Vegeta goes ahead and transforms into a Super Saiyan 4 with no problem whatsoever, saying that as long as he has a tail, he knows the trick to transforming into a Super Saiyan 4. So since he's actually a bit ahead of Gohan, and Gohan still has to be able to transform into a Super Saiyan 4 at will, Elder Kai goes ahead and explains the next part of their training to them. First of all, Gohan, he begins, you need to transform into a Super Saiyan 4. And Vegeta, you'll go into emotional control training. Elder Kai says that he'll put Vegeta under a spell, and if he's able to break it on his own, then he'll have passed the training. By the way, while this spell is affecting someone, I can't cast other spells, he goes on, so this works out pretty well with Gohan having to work on firstly transforming into a Super Saiyan 4. He says that overwhelming rage and murderous intent will be necessary to trigger a transformation into Super Saiyan 5. That's why if you're able to control your emotions, you should be able to transform. To be honest, the spell I'm about to use is very dangerous though, he says. so brace yourself, or it may even claim your life. Vegeta tells him to bring it on with no fear in the world, just ready to finally become a Super Saiyan 5. However, Elder Kai tells him that there's one more important thing he needs to say. Even if you succeed in dispelling it, there is no guarantee that you'll be able to transform into a Super Saiyan 5. However, according to his calculations, he believes the likelihood that he'll be able to transform is actually quite high. If he's able to firmly maintain consciousness, then he should be able to snap out of it. All I have to say is I believe in the miracle of the two of you, Elder Kai finishes, as he then goes on to cast the first spell on Vegeta. Almost instantly, Vegeta enters a state of extreme mental and emotional strife that forces his most in-depth turmoil to the forefront of his mind. What happens next is almost as comical as it is worrying, as it seems like Vegeta goes through every emotion humanly possible, from anger to joy to sadness and everything in between, as the others watch in disbelief. This is almost reminiscent of when Vegeta got taken over by Babidi's mind control, but much more intense. I heard from the great Lord of Lords ages ago that Kaioshins possess various types of abilities, Kibito Kai says. Combat, special, and various others, but he claimed that in the past, there was a Kaioshin that could manipulate the emotions of living things. He didn't know the name of the spell, but said that there was a spell that could numb a person's emotions and confuse them with illusions. However, that spell is extremely dangerous. There is a risk of causing brain damage to the target or even oneself. Since I'm also a Kaioshin, I was told to absolutely never use it should I awaken such an ability. If the spell is so dangerous, Gohan struggles to understand why Elder Kai is so intent on using it, but this is when it all makes sense to Kibito Kai. I think the honored ancestor is trying to make it so that by dispelling the spell with his own power, he'll be able to draw out his own emotion beyond the limit. If, as our honored ancestor said, the emotion of rage exceeding the limit is the method of transformation into a Super Saiyan 5, then I think he believes that if he's able to snap out of it, he'll be able to freely draw out the emotion of rage exceeding the limit. And this is why it's called emotional control training, as we watch Vegeta continue to go through all of the cycles of emotions. Gohan realizes that he can't just sit here and watch Vegeta progress without him though, and he hasn't even completed the first step. So he needs to hurry up and become able to turn into a Super Saiyan 4. So over the next few hours, Vegeta continues his emotional control training, and Gohan tries to discover the secret to becoming a Super Saiyan 4 at will. Meanwhile, while everyone is training the hardest they've ever trained before, an abnormal change happened to Goku's body that Gohan and the others were still unaware of. Cracks begin to appear all over the Dragon Balls, as over at the lookout, Dende is alerted of an alarming event about to take place that they might not have been prepared for. He immediately feels a disturbing ki and goes to check on the Dragon Balls. The negative energy is beginning to leak out as Dende panics and questions just why this is all happening right now. He tells Mr. Popo to hurry and contact Gohan and the others immediately, as something terrible has happened. Back on the planet of the Kais, Vegeta and Gohan have been at it for almost an entire day now, non-stop. Vegeta showing some of the most intense mental determination and fortitude you could imagine, but they both seem to be nearing their breakthrough. Vegeta battles through the emotional trauma he suppressed of having his #1 rival and honestly inspiration gone for good, after watching him continuously throughout life surpass him over and over again, and then just disappear like he was never there. The rage, confusion, and sadness all packed in one that this bestowed on him, all accumulating in his breaking point. Vegeta absolutely snaps and releases such a vicious ki that he nearly blows them all away in a violent gust of power. But it was all worth it. When the dust settles, Vegeta has finally done it. After almost a full day of mental anguish, the spell has been broken. With his searing red skin and silver hair now a full indicator, Vegeta has finally transformed into a Super Saiyan 5. Even back on Earth, Oob, Goten, and Trunks, and even Dende are shocked to feel such a ferocious ki, as Trunks can't believe that this is his father's ki he's feeling right now. He's nowhere near the Earth, and it feels like he's right next to them. Vegeta, although he successfully transformed, seems to struggle keeping his rage under control, as Gohan is shocked to feel such a furious ki as well. All of a sudden, however, Vegeta would fall out of his transformation, as it looks like initially it took quite a toll on him to maintain. "I can't believe you were able to transform in such a brief period of time," Gohan says. However, it's not just about him. Gohan still has to do his part too, as Vegeta asks has he completed his first goal in training into a Super Saiyan 4 yet, which Gohan still hasn't. This is when Vegeta gives him a little advice on the secret to transforming, telling him to recall the moment he transformed in the battle with Eyes. He tells him to imagine it's sort of like drawing your ki out from your tail, then if you remain fully aware, you'll be able to transform. All of a sudden, Dende reaches out to Elder Kai, telling him something terrible has happened on Earth. Something extremely unexpected, actually. He says that it looks like Goku's vitality has reached its limit. Elder Kai and the others start freaking out, demanding to know exactly what this means, so Dende explains that during these past 3 years, Goku has been holding back the negative energy from overflowing by continually releasing his own positive energy, but that seems to have a limit. It seems that Goku's vitality didn't last because the evil energy was just more powerful than expected. Probably, I think Goku's vitality will only last for another 3 days, he tells them, as their training timeline just became a hell of a lot shorter than expected. In another 3 days, Goku will be completely overtaken by the evil energy, and the seal on the evil dragon will also likely be done. So, this means they've only got about a day left to finish training and undo the seal ahead of time, or else Goku's very being will be in danger. So at this point, it can't be helped. Gohan must master transforming into not only a Super Saiyan 4, but catch up to Super Saiyan 5 Vegeta as well within the remaining day. First, he needs to transform into a Super Saiyan 4, then he can take his shot at dispelling the emotional training spell. This has all been a lot on Elder Kai over the past day as well, so Kibito Kai heals him while Gohan tries to heed Vegeta's advice and put himself back into the state he was when he transformed against Eyes. Like Vegeta said, imagine gathering ki from your tail and maintain full awareness. His face begins to change, and a different type of power than what we've seen him tap into before begins to emerge as the ever-talented Gohan transforms into a Super Saiyan 4 at will, finally for the first time ever, with a little help from Vegeta, of course. However, they don't have much time to celebrate this achievement though, with their time being of the essence now, so they get started with the next part immediately. Elder Kai casts a spell on Gohan, who, just like Vegeta, begins going through a vicious cycle of various different emotions, but maybe, just like the Super Saiyan 4 transformation, maybe this will be slightly easier for him because of his mix of Saiyan and human blood. Time continues to pass as the Z Fighters train as hard as they can to get everything they're able to out of these last few hours, hoping that Gohan is able to beat the clock as almost 24 hours have passed now. Vegeta reassures Kibito Kai though that with the powerful sentiment Gohan already possesses, he should be able to transform soon enough. The sheer anger, sadness, and determination of losing Pan is more than enough to keep Gohan laser focused on his goal of overcoming this spell and becoming a Super Saiyan 5, as he recalls the same emotions he felt during the battle with Eyes. And just as Vegeta predicted, within the next few moments, Gohan will return to being a Super Saiyan 5 as well. Soon after, Gohan and Vegeta would join the others at the lookout to confront this challenge that awaits them, as now that their training has been a success, it's time to break the seal on the Dragon Balls. Gohan does the honors, and with no objections, he summons Shenron, effectively breaking the seal on the Dragon Balls and Goku, as a thick black smoke emerges from the cracks of the Dragon Balls, and at last, the seal has been undone. Now, the true test has officially begun to see if Gohan and the others will be able to overcome the evil dragon and its power far beyond that of Omega Shenron. And maybe, even more importantly, what about Goku? That is going to do it for this chapter of Dragon Ball AF, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope you all enjoyed the video. I've been enjoying getting back into this story as well. Maybe, depending on how this does by the time we finish it, I'll pick up another one, or maybe I'll remaster another one that we did 7-8 years ago and see how you guys like it now that we've, gotten a little bit better at this. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel for more Dragon Ball and comic content. But that is going to do it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, my boys.